And welcome to the extension chain video here in the Red Delta Project Overcoming Isometrics video library, all of the best exercises for using isometrics for building muscle and strength. This video is all about that coveted extension chain, so posterior chain, hamstrings, glutes, spinal erectors, everything on our backside that really improves our posture and is often a weak link in as far as our performance and our overall health goes. And once again, we'll be using our handy WorldFit ISO trainer. You can use suspension straps, gymnastics rings, martial arts belts and yoga belts or straps can work well. But for these exercises, you're gonna want something with a good sturdy handle to it because it's gonna be placing a lot of force against the hands and your grip may not be strong enough to adequately work the backside. I'm also going to be using the Dragon Door ISO Max platform because the strap that we're going to be using is going to run underneath our feet. And you can accomplish most of these exercises just standing on the strap, but you're going to get a lot of force that's going to be kind of pressing your feet inwards, compromising your stability. So standing on some sort of a platform, even if it's something like a big plank of wood or aerobic steps or something, is going to help you get the most out of these exercises. Of course, we start off with the granddaddy of them all, the isometric deadlift. And for this, we're going to kind of take a little bit more of a approach like using a trap bar deadlift with the handles on either side of us. So we're going to stand either on the strap or on the platform with the straps running just to the back of the feet, kind of like to the back of your arch, but not quite under your heels. You certainly don't want it underneath the balls of your feet because as you pull up, you don't want to feel like you're tipping backwards. You want to have this sense that you're driving straight down into the flat of your feet. Roll your shoulders back, keeping your lats tightly engaged. Push your hips back, knees are bent just a little bit, and then applying force gradually. I highly recommend a good 3 to 5 second ramp up period. You don't want to just jerk really hard because that can be very stressful on the back. And if you're new to isometrics, this can be a little bit more of a shock to the lower back because it's compromising maybe your lat stability, your shoulder stability if you're not used to it. Then you gently release and you're finished off. The Romanian Deadlift is definitely one of my all-time favorites because it's mechanically not as strong. Whenever you're using an exercise that is mechanically weaker, that's making it a lot easier to sufficiently work the muscles a lot harder. So you're gonna keep a relatively narrow stance for this one. And you can have your straps on either side, but for this I find it's good to imagine like you're on a barbell with the hands slightly in front of your shins. I like keeping the handles really nice and low too, because again, that's mechanically much more difficult. Strap placement's the same, just underneath the arch, kind of close to the heels, packing the shoulders, sticking your hips way back. We don't have nearly as much bend in the knees as we did with the trap bar variation, and it's all glutes and hamstrings with some back stability. You do have a little bit of angle in your thigh, just so the shin stays vertical and your hips are really far back. It used to be referred to as a stiff leg or straight leg deadlift, but that's not quite the case. You do want a little kink in the knees for the sake of just not coming back on your heels. And you're gonna have a good amount of force right in your glutes and your hamstrings. The single leg isometric deadlift is another favorite of mine, again, because it's mechanically more difficult. You're only using one leg, so you're not nearly as powerful, which is a good thing. This one also works particularly well if you don't have a platform. The strap just kind of folds up around the single foot and it's not collapsing your feet in towards each other. So for this, you want to have the strap right in the middle of your feet, or your feet right in the middle of the strap, rather. Knee right over the toes. You don't want to have any sort of funky angles. You're going to kind of push your hip out to the side a little bit for that to happen. And I got my strap a little low to make it mechanically more difficult. The other leg can stay on the floor if you want a little extra stability. You can stick it back behind you, or some people, they just keep it where they feel most comfortable keeping it. And then you're driving up with the glutes and the hamstrings, keeping some stability in your shoulders, trying not to wobble side to side. You gently release, and as always, make sure you're getting equal amounts of time on each side. Also be aware if you have more force on one hand versus the other. This is a very good stability exercise as I wobble around a little bit. So it's a great way to work your adductors and abductors in a functional way to enhance your stability, which correlates into better knee, hip, and ankle health as well. All of these deadlift variations can be done with a Zercher deadlift format, where instead of holding onto the handles, you have the handles nestled in the crook between your elbow, your forearm, and your bicep. And for those who are using a coveted forearm forklift or kind of a strap system, this can work particularly well if it's resting on your forearm. But the benefit of doing this is you have a little bit more of a close association of anchoring yourself down with your back muscles. So if you're using deadlift isometrics and you're like, I feel it all in my lower back, this can be a really good way to really feel like you're driving your lats down and back to provide stability, get your hips up, and driving with your hips. Holding is a little bit of a biceps isometric as well. And it feels a little bit more stable, especially for those with lower back issues. Once again, these are very powerful exercises that can put a lot of force through your body, which is a good thing as long as it's in your muscles. But if you're feeling it as tenderness in your lower back or a joint like in the wrists or the elbows, be sure to ramp up gradually. Don't feel like you have to go all out with these or any overcoming isometric exercise, because you don't have to thoroughly destroy the muscle in order to just make it stronger. Always listen to your body. Be sure to subscribe for the full video series where I cover the entire body, including back, biceps, chest, triceps, and legs. And here's the video I made yesterday on the flexion chain, aka your abs. And this one here is all about programming for overcoming isometrics. Thank you very much for watching. Be fit and live free.